on going around and checking your homework. You should have your book on your desk, that way you can be reviewing that, plus your homework so I can check it. You can go ahead and put your sticker chart away for right now and your bookmark away for right now. So you should only have your book that you're studying, so it'll help you to get ready in case there is a quiz today. No promises, but just in case, it'll help you get ready. Yes, Tanya?
What does it say on the second line?
Fall. There's a fall sticker chart and a spring sticker chart.
Okay, I thought it said tall. I'm like, I'm not tall.
Nope. Alright, so those are the things you should have out on your desk. Your homework so I can check it. We're going to be reviewing the pages.
Oh.
Okay, wait, remember to raise your hand?
Which pages? Are we the first row?
Yep, so your life science. See how it says 4 through 8? That's yours.
Because I can't see it because the glare.
Oh, alright. You might have to go stand up then before class to go see what you're supposed to do. Or it could be just the homework. Because typically it's the homework from last night you're reading what you were supposed to be doing. That's a good way to. Good, looks perfect.
Come on, short.
Ready to raise your hand, Judith? Now you're going to remember your heading goes down one line underneath it, and then you have a blank line.
I did that on my language and I got in the line.
It's okay, you don't have to redo it today, but just remember just to work on it. Where's your heading? Okay, you don't have to redo it today, but make sure that you're still getting ready and practice for it. Good job, looks perfect. Wait, that's how come you want to write what pages it is, because that's not the correct page, like that's not the right question. So you probably did question 1 on page 10, not on page 6. So it's okay.
Page 10 for history.
It's okay, so just be careful. You don't have to redo it today, but you have to pay attention. That's how come you want to be very careful. You're right when you read those pages, but you have to remember which question 1, and you have to pay attention to which one that I need you to do. Alright. Good job. Perfect. Nope. You did extra. Okay, now keep in mind you want to write your page, you want to write the question, like what the assignment is up here, not just assignment, so it would be like it would be page 10, question 1. But that is the correct one. So take that one. You did extra work, and that's okay. Okay to do extra work. Alright. Remember, should you ever get up without permission, Danielle? This is my one warning for this. Do not do that again, you understand? Alright, so let's go ahead and let's go over it. So, question number 10, it is asking you to define flora and fauna. We'll split it up into 2 sections so I can call on 2 different people for it. Alright, so flora, Scott.
Flora is a type of organism group.
Say it one more time, I just couldn't hear you very well.
Flora is a type of organism group and it means pipeline.
Good job, and you're just having a complete sentence as well. Alright, the second part of it, fauna, what does that mean? Lana.
Use the fauna as animal life.
That also works as well. So you can say it is an organism, because remember, organism means what, Scott? A living thing. And so specifically, fauna means animal life. Alright, as a side note, since this is the first day practicing with homework, if I tell you that you have to redo it, or if you realize you did the wrong ones, or if you realize something else happened, you will get what is known as a green slip, because it is green. And I will have you fill it out. You're gonna write your name, the class it is, the teacher, and the date. And then you get to check to see which one applies to you. The first one is, I chose not to complete it. Which is not a good reason, but at least you're honest. The second one is, I forgot to complete it. Still not a good reason, but at least you're honest. I copied the assignment incorrectly. That's what typically happens with most students in this class, because they weren't paying attention. So that's why it's important that you copy out exactly what I tell you to do. So I completed it, but I left it at home. Life's rough some days. And then I didn't have what I needed to complete it. Sometimes students accidentally leave their book or leave their activity book here at school, and then they realize, so sometimes that happens. Again, none of those are good reasons. It's just you just saying and being honest. Why didn't I do it? I have reasons. And then they have another one. If you have a really good reason that you want to share, like maybe something like maybe like your dog ate it or something, like what, Hayden?
Like your dog ate it?
Yeah, like your dog ate it. If that's a real honest to goodness reason and you really ate it, I can call your mom to check to make sure that, yeah, no, the dog ate it. Then, okay, yeah, that works, but don't write just silly or answers down there as well. And then you'll sign it saying that, yeah, I forgot my homework. Now, this does not excuse you not doing homework. You still have to show it to me the next day. So basically, if you do it wrong, or if it's not readable, or if it's not neat, then you have to show it to me the next day. And because of that, you basically have double homework now, because you still have that night's homework plus the redo work. So you want to make sure you're doing it correctly the first time. So it looks like everyone did a good job doing it in blue and black ink or pencil and working on their proper heading. Alright, anyone have any questions about the homework? Alright, we can go ahead and put that away. We've got over some of our terms yesterday, so we're not going to do a full-scale review, but go ahead and get out a piece of paper so you can write down anything that you don't know, just in case. But keep your book closed so that way you can't be cheating as you're looking for answers in the book. We started talking about science yesterday. Alright, what is the purpose for science? Anyone remember? Alright, Glenn.
To study the rate of things.
Say it one more time, I just couldn't hear you.
To study the rate of things and ways and birth.
And it's to study it. There are kind of two reasons for it. So we study it, like, why do we study science? To help out who? Yeah, to help out humans, and then also to glorify God. So there's two parts to it. Alright, what do you call the study of living things specifically? Anyone remember from yesterday? We went over this term a lot. Study of living things. Jaden.
I forgot.
Okay.
I literally had biology.
Biology. So remember? Biology. It's alright. Alright, so what do you call the study of plants specifically? Anyone remember? Stop. Botany. Good job. What about the study of itty bitty small life? Remember, it's life, living things, but small things. Alright, Jaden.
Like microbiology, something like that.
Very close. So it's small life. So it's micro. What means life?
Organism. No, micro.
Okay, that's living things. Okay, what means the study of life?
Microbiology.
You're like, get all around it close. Alright, Evie, help her out. Microbiology. So I know you're getting bits of it all together. So it's okay. Combine it all together into one thing. You got it. Let's see. Oh, what's the study of animals? Daniel. Where do animals live whenever we keep them captive? That's kind of sad. Where do you go if you want to see a whole bunch of animals all at once? Zoology, good job. Thank you for not saying zoology. Zoology is the study of zoos, even though it does look like it. Alright, what do you call the study of organisms interacting with their surroundings and each other? So how they all live together. Anyone remember that one? Lana, you act like you wanted to, then you kind of changed your mind. You should not be talking at all, anyhow. Yes, ma'am? Okay. It's okay. Jade, do you remember?
Ecology?
Good job, ecology. So that's the idea of the animals living together in their environment plus with the animals around them. Alright, now we started talking about the two ideas in regards to people, studying the parts of the human body, but then also how they function. What do we call just studying just the parts? So like the parts of your arm or the parts of your leg. Anatomy. And then what do you call how it functions or how it moves? What is that one?
Physiology.
Physiology. Perfect. Alright, what do you call a scientist that studies biology? Good job. And then what do you call just a living thing or a living animal or a living plant? Organism. Let's see. Those are pretty much all the terms we've talked about so far. Oh, what's the smallest unit of living things? Glenn, you've been quiet. Cell. Good job. And what do you call a structure that is made up of one single cell? It's alive. Unicellular organism. So again, this is pretty much what we left off yesterday. Okay, so hopefully if you realize as we went through it, okay, I knew some of it, but if you were thinking as you're going through it, no, I don't remember this, then make sure that you're writing down. So that's probably the reason why I gave you a sticker chart, because as we start reviewing more and more, we'll start playing review games, and we'll start to be able, as you're having quizzes and tests, you can earn stickers. If you fill up your entire sticker chart, you get to turn it in for a nice piece of candy. So something you can see at like a Walmart checkout. Don't pick like the king size whatever, but just make sure it's like a reasonable one you can see at like a Walmart or Winn-Dixie or something like that. So you can turn in for like this kind of special, bigger piece of candy. You can write in the back which one that you would like specifically. Alright, you can go and take out your textbook now, and let's look on page 3. If you want to have your notebook out to take notes, that's fine. But like I said, if you want to highlight in your book, that's alright as well. So page 3 is where we left off, talking about the meaning of life and organized structure is one of the things that we know how an animal is alive or plant is alive. This is the last slide that we looked at yesterday with the meaning of life, organized structure, how it's put together. Living things grow, living things respond to their environment, living things reproduce, and living things have metabolism. And now your book's getting into and breaking it down into these different sections, just showing you, okay, here's what these different parts mean for it. Alright, so we already talked about cells as the smallest living structure of a living organism. Now, unicellular organisms, where we left off yesterday, this is a really small living thing. It could be a plant or it could be an animal. We're going to have an entire chapter where we talk about these. This is a paramecium. It's extremely small. You can see these pretty much just under a microscope. They live in ponds. Now, they're living, they move, they respond to their environment, they grow, they reproduce. But they're just super, super, super tiny. They're only made up of one single cell. You can't have a living thing that is made up of multi-cells. It has many cells on the inside. This is what you are. Should you raise your hand? Is your question, Hayden?
No.
Alright, make sure. I should not see your lips moving, particularly with that camera above you. Josh can hear you better than he can hear me because you're right there. So if I see your lips moving, you're going to have to see me after class. You understand? Yes, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. So, multicellular organism. This is an organism. So keep in mind, if it's an organism, what does that mean? Scott? A living thing. So this is multicellular. So many cells. This is what your cat is, or your dog is, or your goldfish, or whatever pet you have. Chances are, it's a multicellular organism. It's made up of many, many, many cells. So all of your itty bitty cells are all basically stacked on top of each other and working together to make you. We're going to talk more about these different terms a little bit later on, but your book is introducing them to you right now. So do mark them in your book. You'll notice that a lot of them are on this page, page 3, and then some of them are on the next page, but most of them are on this one. So do mark them as you're going through it. The only one missing is body, because we'll talk more about that later on. Cell, you should already have this one marked. This is the smallest living unit in the body. Now, you can have a bunch of cells. They'll work together to make one type of structure. It should be on page 3, Jaden.
I know, but I don't know like where we are on these.
Alright, so you see multicellular organism, the bold term, it's in that paragraph right above the snail.
Yeah?
There you go. So look a little bit further down, you see cells, and then you see tissues. That's where I'm at.
Let me see tissues.
Right. See the little italicized term? So if you're reading the organ's functions, but a multicellular organism like an animal or plant contains many different types of cells, each with different purpose. Most multicellular organisms have cells arranged into tissues. There you go. You're welcome. Tissue. So this is a group of cells working together to perform a particular function. This would be like your muscles. Your muscles are made up of the same type of cells. This is why they all work together to move your arm or to put your arm back down. This is a group of cells, they're all working together. Or like all the cells in your stomach. Your stomach has 3 different muscles on the inside. So that way everything you eat stays in your stomach and gets all ground up and broken up into pieces. That's why they have these different muscles on the inside. Now, all 3 of those muscles work together to make up your stomach. An organ is a group of tissues specifically arranged to perform a definite function or functions. So, like your heart is a type of muscle, and it works hard to pump your blood throughout your body. And so that's part of the reason as to how come you have the tissues that can make up the different organs in your body. So all of your cells have to work together with each other. Put your arm up. There you go. And so all your cells have to work together with their tissues, and then they have to work together to make up your organs. What happens if you have a cell that's not working properly with the other cells? Does anyone know what type of sickness or disease that is? If you have one cell that starts to do its own thing. Get it?
Cancer?
Cancer, that's what happens. Yeah, you did. If you have a cell that just starts to go kind of crazy and starts making a bunch of its own type of cells, that's how come people will go in. Typically, they have to cut out cancer, or they might have to have lasers like chemotherapy and basically shoot it with lasers to try to kill it. That's the reason why, is because it's doing its own thing, and your body can't handle that. All the cells have to be working together, either as tissues or either as organs. Now your organs, they all work together to form a body system. This is a group of organs that function together as a unit to perform a definite job for the body. Like, does anyone know what system, like your body system, your heart is part of? This is probably from elementary. Anyone remember what system in your body that it works with? Alright, Hayden?
Cardiac system?
Wait, I just couldn't hear you.
The cardiac system or something like
Yeah, cardiology or the circulatory system is how we typically do it. But yeah, it works with your blood and your heart. All works together to pump blood throughout your body so that way you can bring nutrients and oxygen to it. Your nervous system, that's your brain and all your nerves throughout your body. Your digestive system, that's your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines. So it's all of those working together. These are the systems. Anyone know how many systems you as a human have? You maybe talked about some of them in elementary. I don't know if you talked about every single one of them yet. Okay.
5?
Not 5, more than 5.
10?
More than 10. Jade?
20?
Okay, not quite that many. Alright, Lon?
15?
Not quite that many. Alright, Glenn?
14?
Not quite that many. You'll eventually get to it.
12?
Not quite. Okay, Scott, do you want to guess? What? 11. You have 11 body systems altogether. So don't worry, we'll talk about them as we get to human anatomy and physiology chapters. We will get there, we will talk about them. But yes, you have 11 on the inside. Some plants only have about 3 or 4. So you, as a human, are much more complex. So you have more organs, you have more tissue. So God designed you to have different systems. You don't have to know what a body is specifically yet, but I mean, you probably know that your body is a network of systems that make you up. Alright, so you should on this page have marked system, organ, tissue, cell, and multicellular organism. So all of those are in the paragraph above the snail. So make sure you mark them as you're going through it. Alright, next page. Alright, so growth. So I don't really have a picture for this one besides all living things grow. We've already talked about that with animals and with cats and with kittens and with you. You as an individual are growing. This may be why your parents might have to go get you a new uniform at the start of the school year, or maybe go get you new shoes at the start of the school year or at the start of the summer, because you're growing. That's normal. As your teenage years, you will probably grow a whole lot, and that's okay. It's supposed to happen. If you're not growing, something may be wrong. Now, sometimes people, they get growth spurts at different stages, so if you're not growing as fast as you want to, it's okay, that's fine. But something where your parents expect you to get taller, and they expect you to grow. An interesting thing, though, is not necessarily whenever you're growing, let's ask it this way. Who thinks that your cells get bigger or the number of cells get bigger? How do you grow? All right, Glenn? Number of cells. Your cells only stay about the same size. But as you have a cell get slightly bigger, it'll break apart into 2 cells. And then those cells will break apart into 2 cells. So as you get taller and taller, it's not like the cells get bigger. You have more of them on the inside. That's the same idea with elephants and giraffes and even itty bitty small goldfish. It's just the number of cells that determine their size, not the cells themselves. So do make a note on page 4, all living things grow. If they're not growing, something's wrong. Alright, so make a note that all living things grow. Alright, responses to changes. All living things respond to changes within themselves and outside themselves. Now, we call it, whenever they are maintaining that stable internal environment, we call that homeostasis. We think of this as kind of like your temperature. Anyone know what temperature you're supposed to be whenever somebody takes your temperature? Alright, Hayden.
98.6.
Yep, that's about the average. Some people, they run a little bit lower or a little bit higher, and that's okay, but 98.6, that's the average. What happens if your temperature starts to go up? What do we call that, Evie?
Fever.
A fever. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing typically. Now, your body does that because it's trying to kill the bacteria or virus on the inside, because most bacteria and viruses, they can't handle higher temperatures, so your body is trying to roast it alive, basically, is what it's trying to do. But if it stays too high for too long, your body can damage itself. And so that's how come if you have a too high of a fever for too long, it's dangerous. So that's what it's talking about whenever it says a homeostasis. It means a stable internal environment. Why do you drink water? Let's see. All right, Jade.
Stay healthy.
Okay, yes. What happens if you don't drink water?
Get dehydrated.
And then what happens?
Pass out.
All right, and then what happens?
Oh.
Yeah, so you have to drink water. This is why if you go too long without drinking water, your body starts to tell you to drink something, typically by being really thirsty and trying to make you go drink water. You need that fluid on the inside. You naturally lose water by going to the bathroom, but then also by sweating, by talking, you naturally just dry out and just lose water. That's how your body tells you, by making you thirsty, you need to put more water back inside of your body. This is also one reason as to how come your body tells you to breathe. Why do you need oxygen? Come on.
So you don't like die and like so you don't die because if you don't have oxygen, you can't breathe.
Alright, that's a good answer. Alright, Evie, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Your cells need oxygen.
Yeah, your cells specifically, for them to carry on what they're doing, your individual cells, they have to have oxygen. If they get cut off from oxygen for too long, they'll actually start to die, and you'll have pieces of your cells basically start to actually die. And if too many of them die, then you die. So that's how come if you get your oxygen cut off, your body starts making you feel kind of panicky because your body knows, no, you need oxygen. And if you keep going without oxygen, your body will make you pass out because your body thinks that you're just being stupid and not breathing just because. And so that's how come you will pass out because it's trying to basically restart to try to get you breathing again. This is why you don't want to be messing around and putting plastic bags over your head. Most of you probably know you shouldn't be doing that to begin with, but you should be careful with little kids or younger siblings and don't let them play around with stuff and that could choke them because their body needs it. So those are some of the things your book's talking about. Your book also talks about, it also responds to the environment as well. Because what happens if you go outside and it's really, really hot, like right now, and because it's August here, it's hot outside. Alright, Jade?
You're just sweating, your body kind of pulls up off.
Because your body knows that if you get too hot or overheated, that's bad for you. Now, your skin can handle it pretty well, but your heart and your other organs, if they get too hot, they can't handle that. So also when your body starts trying to sweat and trying to cool you down, your body knows it's too hot. This could hurt you. Now what happens if it's too cold? What does your body do to try to warm you up? Scott? You start to shiver and shake. You might get those little goosebumps on your arm. Your body is trying to generate energy, trying to warm up your body because your body knows, nope, too cold now. I need to hurry up and warm it back up. Now again, your skin can handle it a lot better, but your internal organs, like your intestines, can't do it. So that's when your body starts trying to generate heat or tries to cool your body down. So those are those responses to the environment that your body does, like too hot or too cold. Let's see. Alright, so to make a note, homeostasis, you should have marked that one in your textbook. That is a stable internal condition. That's where your body wants to keep that good temperature, plus water, plus the pH, plus nutrients, other things. It wants that good, stable internal environment on the inside. Alright, your book also talks about that some animals, they also do this. Now, this is an Arctic fox. Your book references this very loosely. Their coats change color. In the summertime, their coat is more of a reddish brown, but in the winter, it turns white. Anyone think they know why does the coat change color? Glenn?
The life's thicker.
Yeah, partly.
And so when they're hungry, they can
They can what?
blend in.
Okay, why does blending in whenever they're hungry help them?
So you can sweep them.
There you go. So what do we call that when you have an animal blending into the environment around them? Do you know? Camouflage. So God designed it. It's that way whenever it's wintertime, their coat will help them blend into the environment so that way they can sneak up onto their prey and catch them. So some animals, their bodies respond a little bit differently. Now your skin obviously doesn't change color based on the weather. You might get tanner in the summer, but that's about it. Your skin doesn't really change a whole lot. Alright, reproduction. Do make a note for this one. So, your book points out with Genesis, in Genesis 1:22 and Genesis 8:17, that all living things reproduce. Reproduction is the process by which life continues through the next generation of new organisms. God designed for animals and humans to reproduce or to make babies, so that way those animals and people, you keep having them in the world. We talked about this yesterday. What happens if you have animals that they can't if you have animals of a type of species where they can't have babies or there's not enough of them to have any more babies? What happens to them?
They'll just die off and then there'll be less in the population.
What do you call an animal when there's no more of them?
Extinct.
Yep, and so that happened to the dinosaurs and the dodo birds, and there's other types of animals that are also not around today. So we just don't have them anymore. So also come some animals, put them in zoos, so that way they can keep having babies. It's a safe environment. And so even though they don't live in the wild anymore, they can live in a zoo to where, okay, we still have this animal. Now we have to keep them safe just because there's not enough of them. But we still have them. So just make a note of that. Reproduction is the process by which order by which life continues through the generation of new organisms. The book also introduces the term heredity. Heredity, this is the transmission of characteristics from parent to offspring. This ensures the offspring is the same type of organism. This is one reason why you might wonder, well, why do I have brown eyes or blue eyes? Or why do I have curly hair? And why do I have red hair? That's because of heredity. Your parents gave you those characteristics in their genes. This is one reason why you might look like your mom, or maybe like your dad, or maybe you look like a combination, or maybe you think, I don't look like either one. It's okay, that sometimes happens, but that's called heredity. That's whenever your parents or the animal has passed on its transmission of characteristics, how it looks, to the next generation. Alright, anyone have any questions about these three terms before we move on? Alright, so metabolism. There's a lot of terms on this slide, and there's a lot of terms in your book, so we'll go through these and we'll explain them. So be sure to be marking them as you're going along. All living things perform metabolism. Metabolism is the sum of all the chemical processes of life. Your body is carrying on a lot of chemical processes. It's taking oxygen, it's giving off carbon dioxide, it's breaking down your breakfast. Hopefully you ate breakfast as a side note, or you drank coffee or something to help get you going in the day. So, or not. Not Stefan.
He doesn't eat breakfast.
Wait, sure, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Yes, hand.
He doesn't eat breakfast.
Alright, so that's part of the reason as to how your body's carrying on the chemical processes on the inside of it. Your book points out that there are a lot of fundamental laws of science. One of the major ones is the law of conservation of energy. Mark that one, it's italicized in your book. This states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but can only change form. Now, you might think, okay, that's a little bit weird. Alright, if you were to light a log on fire, what's going to happen to the log? Jaden, it's going to burn. It's going to burn. Now, as it's burning, what's it doing? Alright, think of it this way. Now, can you see the log on fire? Is it typically bright or not very bright?
The log itself is not bright.
Alright, what about the fire? Okay, so the fire's bright. Okay, what else about the fire?
It's hot.
It's hot. Anything else about it?
It burns up oxygen in the air.
Yeah, that's right as well for it. Alright, and so because of that, even though the log is burning, it's making light, it's making energy, and so the energy of the log is changing over. What would happen if you were to take away the log from the fire? Lynn? Yeah, you could. Or if you were to take away the log from the fire might start to die off. It doesn't have anything else to burn from it. So that's the idea of the law of conservation of energy. You have energy in the log inside of the individual wood, and if you were to burn it or start it on fire, then it would take that energy and turn it into a new type of energy. It's not like your log is just destroyed and it's gone. It changed form. It made light, it made heat, it made different types of energy. So that's what it's talking about. We do the same thing with food. If you need energy, what do you have to do? Danielle? Alright, Aiden.
Eat something.
Eat something. Careful. Josh doesn't want to see a green screen. So typically, if you need a lot of energy, what do you eat? Don't mess with it, Hayden. Okay, if you need a lot of energy, what do you typically eat? Do you know?
An apple or a strawberry or something.
Yeah, those typically have a lot of sugar, and that's what most people eat. Or if you eat bread or carbohydrates, that'll also give you a lot of energy. Those are a type of nutrients. Nutrients, these are substances in food, and they provide the organism with energy or serve some other essential purposes. Now, you're supposed to eat other things besides just sugar and carbohydrates. You're supposed to eat protein, you're supposed to eat your fruits and vegetables, but if you're supposed to eat just sugar or just energy, your carbohydrates and your sugars are your main ones to go through. So, you make a note of nutrients, that's where we and animals, that's where most of them get their energy from. They have to eat something. A carnivore has to eat what? Anyone know? If it's a carnivore, eat meat. If it's a herbivore, anyone know what that one eats? Vegetables. If you're an omnivore, it's a little bit harder. Alright? And?
Grass.
That's still a plant. Alright, Mom.
Seeds. I don't know.
That's still a plant. Plants and meat. So an omnivore eats both. That's like you as a person. You eat meat plus plants. Or a bear. They eat meat and plants. So you have to get a bunch of nutrients from different things. Now plants, they have to make their food a little bit differently. They have to make it by the process of photosynthesis. Not every type of plant does this, but a lot of your green plants do. So, do make a note of that on the page as well. Photosynthesis, this is whenever plants use water, air, and sunlight, those are the three basic things, to make their own food through photosynthesis. Now, it looks like the plant's just making it out of nothing, but they're actually using the light energy, water, and the nutrients from the soil. They can actually make their own food that way. They don't have to go out and hunt other plants. Now, you probably know some plants are types of carnivores, like the Venus flytrap. Okay, that's one that is a carnivorous type of plant. But most plants, they can make their own type of food. So we call that process photosynthesis. We will talk more about it once we get to the botany sections of your book, so don't worry about it right now. Just make a note, that's how they make their own food. Ingesting, this is just a fancy word for eating. So, this is a nice scientific word for saying it. So, just make a note of that, ingesting or eating. So, you hopefully ingested something for breakfast, and if not, that's okay. You will probably ingest something for lunch, and then you probably ingest something as a snack once school's over, and then you will probably ingest again when dinner rolls around, and then maybe you might ingest again after dinner, depending on when your parents let you have snacks. So, just make a note of that. Ingesting is just a fancy word for eating, so just make a note for that one. Alright, cellular respiration, this is whenever your body takes the nutrients now, and now they're making energy. So, this is kind of a multi-step process. Once you get the nutrients, once you get the sugar or the protein or whatever it is you have, your body has to take that now and make it into a type of energy that your body can use. We call that type of energy ATP. You don't have to worry about what it stands for right now. Just note that it stands for ATP. You'll see that towards the bottom of page 4 in that last paragraph. That's a special chemical. That's the type of energy that your body uses to power its cells. It can't just take just the sugar and make it. It has to make it into that ATP form. So we're going to talk more about this as we start talking about human anatomy and physiology. Just make a note for right now that ATP is the type of energy that your body can use, and it makes it through the process of cellular respiration. We'll talk more about these once we get to it. Alright, sometimes though, not everything you eat your body can use, so your body can't keep all the leftover stuff on the inside of your body. It's basically junk, and your body doesn't need it, so your body says, I'm going to get rid of it. It gets rid of it and through the process of excretion. This is the fancy word for going to the bathroom. So that's what your body needs to get rid of it, to get rid of it that way. So you understand what that is at this point. So just make a note, excretion, that's the fancy way of your body saying to just get rid of it at that point for it. It's at the top of the next page, page 5. So your book says, after metabolism is completed, unneeded substances or junk is removed through excretion. This is because it can't have that build up on the inside. So it's kind of like the garbage collectors. What happens if you have a whole bunch of junk or garbage on the inside of your house? What eventually happens?
Like it'll stink.
Yeah, it'll start to stink, it'll start to run out of room. This is why your body says, no, if we have this buildup on the inside, this isn't good. So your body has to get rid of it. And that's what it'll start to purge it from your body, because it says, no, I don't need this stuff. I don't need these type of minerals or this type of junk in my body. And then also, you need water, lots of water. So make a note of that. Your book points out, to perform metabolism, all organisms need adequate water. Your book points out that about 70% of your body's mass is water. You need a bunch of water. That's what kind of your body tells you that if you don't have enough water, it makes you thirsty. Trying to tell you, drink something. You need water. Alright, anyone have any questions about these before we switch over and look at the closer look section? Alright, so let's give other people a chance to read, because my voice is getting a little bit tired and my voice is telling me that I need water actually right now. My voice is thirsty. But who wants to read first? This is a chance for you to read. Now make sure you're reading that loud though so Josh can hear you. Alright, Jaden.
What comes right?
Yep, that's it.
Life science is an exciting subject with many unfamiliar words. Although these words may seem long or hard to memorize, most of them use the same prefix and subject. By familiarizing yourself with the meaning of most common suffixes and prefixes, you can easily learn new words for biology. For example,
Wait, Release up there. That was a good job though, reading the whole first paragraph. Alright, who wants to read next? Other people a chance to read? I appreciate it. I gotta go to people. Scott.
For example, you are already familiar with the prefix to. Most people know that a zoo is a place where animals are kept for the public to see, and that a zookeeper is someone who takes care of those animals. Using this knowledge, you would guess that zoology has to do with animals. Looking at this suffix, logy, this suffix means to study of. If you put together the meanings of the prefix and suffix, you have animals to study of. By reiterating two definitions for easier reading, you can see that zoology means to study of animals.
Good job. Alright, so I'll read this last one that you started. Using the chart provided to determine the general meaning of each word. Write down the possible definition and then look them up in a dictionary. I'll tell you, so that's why I said we can skip that step. What's a good practice trying to put the different prefixes and the different suffixes together? Because scientists use these prefixes and suffixes to try to help describe what they're talking about. Kind of like unicellular. Uni only means one, while cellular refers to the type of structure. So let's practice for it. Anyone want to do that first one? Epidermis. Alright, Hayden. Alright, what does epi mean first?
On, above,
Good job. And then what does dermis mean?
skin,
Good job. So together, what does that mean?
on skin.
Close. What's the
Above
other?
skin.
Above skin. So does anyone know what epidermis is? Yeah.
The first layer of skin, the top layer of skin.
That's this one. You can see that one. That's your epidermis. It's that above skin or that top, very top layer. Technically it's dead, but it's that very top layer. Alright, who wants to do the second one? Jaden.
Chloroplast?
Yep, chloroplast. Alright, what does chloro mean?
I don't know.
Okay, find chloro. Here it is up here. Or you can look at both. But here's chloro if you want to look at my screen.
Green.
Green. And then where's plas? Let me find it. There it is.
Small body or cell.
Good job. So put it together.
Green cell.
Good job. Green, small body or cell. Anyone know where we find chloroplast? It's not you.
Green. Grass.
Yeah, actually these little bitty structures on the inside of grass and other plants, that's what carries on photosynthesis. That's why God made them green. That helps them to carry on photosynthesis. Alright, autotroph. Let's see, Evie.
Self-nutrition.
Good job. So auto means self, and then, auto means self, and then troph has to do with the idea of food and nutrition. Does anyone know what an autotroph is? It is a fancy word for an organism, living thing that can make its own food. So, like for plants, you would say it's an autotroph. It can make its own food. Alright, number 4. Let's see, alright, Hayden.
Heat
Good job.
measurement.
Great job. So, thermometry is kind of a mouthful, but yeah, heat measurement. Alright, number 5. Daniel's turn. Phagocyte. Alright, what does phag or phago mean?
Eater.
And then what does site?
Cell.
Alright, so put it together.
Cell eater.
Good job. These are what your white blood cells are. They go around and they eat bacteria or viruses on the inside. So it's a special term for them. Alright, number 6. Cardiology. Alright, Glenn's turn.
Refers to heat and study of.
Alright, what was that first part?
Refers to heat.
Alright, so cardio, what is it? What does it refer to?
Refers to heat.
Alright, you're on. I only got you.
Refers to heat.
Heat or heart? Heart. Okay, Jaden, be sure to get permission for you to stand up. You understand? Yes, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, but yeah, I know you're trying to help him out, but yeah, it's okay. I couldn't tell if you were having a mistype in your book or if you were just reading it too quick. It's alright. So you're right that it refers to your heart. So if this is heart, the study of, what does it refer, what is that? Or what is it referring to?
Cardiology.
Good job, that works for it. It's the idea of it, you're studying your heart. So your parents might have to go see a cardiologist. This is someone like a heart doctor. Let's see, number 7. Okay, I think everyone's had a turn now. Have you done 2 or 1, Hayden? I feel like you've done 2 or 2. Right, fix your feet at the side now. Let's give other people a chance. Alright, someone who's only done 1 so far. Jen.
Quadruped.
Yep, alright, what does that mean?
Jointed foot.
Good job. These are like the insects because they have the exoskeleton. Their feet is jointed or their legs are jointed up together. Alright, last one. Hypothermia. Alright.
Hypo means under, below.
Good job.
And thermia means, what, not thermia.
Alright, find thermo first.
Thermo means heat.
Good job. And then
So-
Ia.
It's where your temperature is under heat, is where you're cold.
This is whenever your body's too cold. This is why you start to shiver. If you get hypothermia, your body says, nope, this is not good. Alright, anyone have any questions about how to do this? You need to know how to do this. Alright, next page then. Your book is encouraging you to take a notebook and journal and to go out and just observe nature. Because a lot of students, they don't go outside and observe nature. They like to observe their cell phone or their computer or video games or things like that. So they don't want to go outside anymore. That's how come your book is encouraging you to go out and to actually see with your eyeballs what nature looks like. That's how come your book is talking about flora and fauna. Now I've already talked about this with your homework, but you should still mark them in your book. What is flora? Anyone remember from your homework? Right, Glenn? What was that? Plant life. I thought you said ant life for a second. So yes, plant life. Alright, and then what is fauna? Evie. Animal life. So it's just encouraging you just to go out. Now, I'm not going to go ask you, did you go out and see nature? But it's something to where you should go out and try to see different types of animals, different types of butterflies, different types of flowers. Just go out and just walk around in nature. How many of you, your parents took you to like the park or for hikes whenever this whole COVID thing happened? You couldn't go anywhere else. Okay, a couple of you, or some of you, you've been to a park or maybe just outside recently. Some of you. But yeah, it's the idea your book is just encouraging you just to go out and to just see nature. And that's what come your book is telling you. You should keep a notebook of your observations. I'm not going to ask for it. I'm not going to check to see, are you seeing nature? I'm not asking you that. But it is something good. Plus, this helps out with your drawing skills. Some of the best things to draw are flowers or trees, or if you're really fast, an insect. Now, insects typically won't stay still long enough for you to draw them. Your cat might not even stay still long enough for you to draw them. But it's to where you should get practice. And so I just want you to just go out and just observe it. And to go out and see nature for it. Your book also tells you that writing down written descriptions is typically better because, again, drawing works, but most animals, they move too quickly. So if you try to write down words and describe them, that's how scientists, they were able to compare to see, okay, this scientist described in words what this animal, what this plant looks like. And so the scientists could go, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. Look at the plant. Okay, this is the type of plant that the scientist was talking about. They use this in a lot of cases for medicines. They would actually go out with books to go find herbs or plants or flowers so that way they can make medicines because they didn't have drugstores back a long time ago. So they would have to go get plants to give people to make them feel better. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's look at the next page on page 7 where it talks about mirror images, talking about different types of symmetry. Alright, people get to read again. So if you've already read, I'm going to give other people a chance to read. Alright, we'll start with Edie.
Most organisms can be categorized into 3 groups based on symmetry. Symmetry is the ability of an object to be cut into equal halves that are mirror images of each other. Biology symmetry is approximate and based on external similarities. As you observe God's creation, you try to identify the symmetry of each organism you find.
Alright, we'll let you start there since that's the first full paragraph. Thank you for reading. There are 3 basic types of symmetry. So let's look at them. I have this picture to kind of help you see them for it. Alright, so let's look at the next one. If you've already had it.
No, I'm not reading.
Oh, your question? Alright, dude.
I don't understand how, on the first one, how the dog, butterfly, and flower look the same.
We're not there yet. Just wait. Alright, who wants to read the next section though? Danielle. Gotta read, sweetie. Alright, then read the next paragraph.
The simplest symmetry and bilateral
Good job.
can be cut only one way to create similar right and left halves. Think of a leaf folded in half down the center. Only one fold can create equal halves. Humans and most animals, including fish, insects, and birds, have bilateral symmetry, possessing paired limbs and one eye on each side of the head. A few flowers and fruits like orchids and bananas also have bilateral symmetry.
Alright, so this is where your question comes in, Jaden. So what it's talking about bilateral symmetry, that means that you could cut a person, don't do this, but you could cut a person in one line or on one plane and get one side of the person that looks the same as the other side. Now that means basically, you might have a freckle over here that's not over here, but it means that but what it means is that if you were to cut a person from top to bottom, that you would get one eyeball, half a nose, one ear, half a mouth, one arm, one side of their body, one leg, and then you would get the same on the other side. To kind of demonstrate it, if you have a piece of paper and if you fold it in half, you probably do this whenever you're making Valentine's or if you make snowflakes in the wintertime. If you were to tear it in a way to make it the same, I'm really bad at this terribly. Then you get the same on either side. So I could have a line now down the center that divides it into two halves. They look pretty much the exact same from one side to the other. Now there might be some small differences. This idea of both halves look basically the same as the other half. So that's bilateral symmetry. Does that help you out now? That's what it's showing you. And with the dog, if you were to cut your dog in half, don't. But if you were, you would get the same from one half of the dog to the other half of the dog. Now that only happens on one plane. If you cut the person into top and bottom halves, that doesn't work. The person is still dead, but it doesn't work that direction. It doesn't look the same. So that's what it means by the idea of bilateral. It only works on one plane, one way it cuts. Alright, do you want to have any questions about bilateral symmetry though? Alright, moving on. Someone else's turn to read. Let's see, I don't think Glenn's had a turn yet though. Alright, Glenn.
Organisms or radial symmetry can be cut in multiple ways to create units of have. Like a pie, an organism with radial symmetry has a top and bottom, but not right and left side. You can cut a pie in half in any way you can work, and you always get identical halves. Most violent groups possess radial symmetry. Only few animals include starfish, jellyfish, and sea urchins have radial symmetry.
Good job. So these things are typically more of a circular shape for it. Like for example, your book gives you a sea urchin or an orange. Now I can divide it this way and get basically the same right and left sides. Now I drew it kind of bad, so one side looks slightly larger than the other one. Or I could cut it like this way and get the same top and bottom halves. Or I can go this direction. So it's kind of like a pizza, and you can chop it up and then chop it up into multiple different pieces. And basically, no matter how you cut it, it's going to look basically the same on one side as it does on the other. Now, if you're just thinking about pizza, it might have more toppings on one side than the other. This idea, basically, it looks the same. Alright, anyone have any questions about radial symmetry? Radial means circular, so I can help you to remember that one. Alright, last one. I think Lana is the last one that hasn't read. Alright, Lana. Asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical organisms cannot be cut into equal halves. Organisms like amoebas that constantly change shape are considered as asymmetrical. Trees which have great variety in their branch structure are also considered asymmetrical.
Because trees grow based typically on sunlight and other factors, they don't look the exact same. Now, whenever you're younger, you probably draw a tree like this where it looks basically the same. Okay, most trees don't look like this for real in real life. You'll notice that some trees, they have different branches, they might have skinnier branches, they might have a lot of branches on one side and no branches on the other. So they're typically considered asymmetrical. An amoeba, because that one changes and moves, it's asymmetrical. Its body shape constantly changes. So those are the three different ones. So bilateral, you can divide it in one plane, have right and left halves. Radial symmetry, typically circular, you can cut it in multiple ways. And then asymmetrical or asymmetry, it doesn't have symmetrical, it doesn't have shape. Alright, we'll go ahead and we'll stop there. So go ahead and get out your assignment pad and remember to write down clearly what you're doing because you don't want to do the wrong ones by accident. So your homework for tonight is to read pages 8 through 10. I'll slow down just a little bit. I know this is still practice. Yep, read it down. To read pages 8 through 10. Answer page 10, questions 2 through 4. So answer page 10, questions 2 through 4. Also, be sure you have your activity book tomorrow. We're going to start working on that again. We're going to start working on it tomorrow. So the whole thing all over again. Read pages 8 through 10. Answer page 10, questions 2 through 4. You're going to bring your activity book tomorrow so that we can start practicing and working on it. Alright, I have about a minute left. So, thinking back over, covered a lot of terms today, and some of them are kind of a little bit harder. What do you call the sum of all the chemical processes in your body? Scott. Longer word. Sum of all the chemical processes like breathing, breaking down nutrients, all of it. Metabolism. Good job. What do you call the substances that provide food? David, you can remember? Nutrients.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, 5. Okay. Aiden, come see me.